Hello. Goodness. Sorry about last time. I didn't realize that my package was lost to the void, and that package happened to contain my physical copy of The House in Fata Morgana. But we're here now. Hello. Hi. Oh gosh. If you remember, last time we finished part 1 of Requiem for Innocence, where Jacopo and Morgana were separated, the brothel was raided. Jacopo thinks that Morgana is dead. They have killed Lord Barnier. Jacopo's taken his place. And Jaren was actually in cahoots with the Lord the whole time. Now we're going to get an interlude here. This Recollections of an Outlaw. And then we will be jumping into part 2. I feel like part 2 goes much more... I think it's technically shorter, but it feels like it goes by more devastatingly long because it's so rife with suffering. There's like... It's just bleak the whole time, so just a warning for that. Anything that was spoken about in Jacopo's backstory in Door 8 or Morgana's backstory in Door 6 is up for free game. And then also the fact that we know that Jaren was in love with the Lord, kind of obsessed with him, and it was just unhealthy. There's that. So let's just get into it. You're in the mood for something juicy, you say? Hate to break it to you, chum, but I ain't made of dough. I'd like a nice slab of meat as much as the next bloke, but I'm barely making do as is. Ah, hello! Good job, YouTube. Sometimes you do what you're supposed to. We all are, in case you hadn't noticed. What? You're not hungry? You just want a juicy story to go with your drink. Then why didn't you just say that to begin with? Give me a sec. Think I got one you like. A few months back, me and a bunch of other blokes went out on a raid, this puny little village. They didn't do much trade, just living off what they could grow, so no one figured we'd make out with much. Grab a little grub, plow some of the girls, that was the best anyone was hoping for. Alright, do you have to say it like that? Business as usual. We killed the guys, had some fun with the girls, then killed them too. Nothing too interesting, nothing real exciting up to that point. But that changed when I busted into this one house. There's a man, a woman, a little girl, maybe 5 years old. No siblings, just the girl. Real small family for a village like that. Dad comes at me to protect the girl, then Ma tries to block me away. No surprise here, I kill them both. Couple unarmed farmers, easy as snapping a baby's neck. Oh, enjoy work as much as you can. Did they hire more people? Is that better? I really hope so. I left the kid. Wasn't like she could do nothing, so I didn't have to kill her. But you know how stupid things could get, crying like it's the end of the world, bloody world. So I figure I'll run her through before she starts howling on me, right? But get this. The kid smiled at me and said, "Where are you from, mister?" Couldn't believe me ears. Girl, your parents were just killed by me, and I'm coming to kill you next. How the hell are you smiling? And how the hell are those the first words out of your tiny little mouth? Creeped me out, truth be told. So much so, I lost all interest in killing her. So I dug around for anything worth taking and went on me way. But this damn kid, I try to leave, and guess what? She fucking follows me. Doesn't want revenge or nothing, just smiling like a fool. I'm a patient bloke, but this was beyond the pale. I yelled at the stupid thing. "Why the hell are you following me? Piss off!" And she gives me this confused look and says, "I'm bored. Everyone else stopped moving, so I have nothing else to do. But you're still moving, mister." Yay! Oh, I'm so glad. It will get there, though. There's hope. In the meantime, find a way to move here. My damn head was spinning. She was maybe 5, yeah? I could understand her being a little stupid, but she should have known right from wrong enough to know to be scared of me. You have to be out of your mind to come trotting after the bastard who just offed your parents. And I'm pretty sure that's exactly what her problem was. She wasn't right in the head. I tried to get her to piss off, but she wasn't hearing it. The other guys started talking. Maybe we should just neck her, right? Then one guy says with a big smile, what say we take bets on what it'd take to make the kitty cry? So we did just that. We started placing bets. Give her a good yell and she'll cry. Knock her around some, that'll do it. I say you ain't got a tooth or two. Rip off her nails one by one. And finally, plow her till she breaks. We went around and did everything we could think of, our absolute worst. Not like we ever pretended to be good people, but it ain't every day you see a bunch of grown men taking turns knocking the hell out of a 5-year-old girl. Yeah, no fucking kidding. Fuck you guys. And hell, that by itself's a good drinking story if I ever heard one. Is it? But it keeps going. She never cried. No matter what we did. Not a once. She would groan and twist her face when we hit her, so she did feel pain. But even that was only for a second. After that, she'd be back to smiling like an idiot. Tell you the truth, she seriously creeped me the fuck out. I wanted to just end it there and forget all about her. But the rest of the guys, they took a liking to her. Wanted to bring her back with us. I tried to talk him out of it, but one guy says, what's the big deal? It ain't like we're adopting her. We'll have some fun, and when we get bored, she's gone. And it's pretty damn hard to argue against that. If I kept fighting it, I'd look like I was trying to be the good guy or something. So now we've got this kid in the crew. First month or so she's with us, everyone's treating her like their plaything. But after a little bit, that starts to change. They start being kind of nice to her. Giving her extra food, letting her join in on conversations, that sort of thing. She still creeped me out, sure, the way she never stopped smiling. But she wasn't ugly or nothing. Could be kind of cute even. When she started talking with us more, I realized something. None of us knew this damn kid's name. So I ask her, and get this. She says, I'm me. Dead fucking serious. Now, like I've been saying, the girls never made much sense. Always never made much. Wow. But this was on another level. So I press her. No, what's your name? But she just tilts her head and says the same thing. I'm me. So you're saying your name is me? I ask. And she gives me this big fat grin and nods her head. Who the hell names their kid me? Her parents seemed like reasonable enough folks. They at least cared enough to try and protect her from me. They'd just run out of ideas trying to come up with a name for her, or what? As I'm thinking to myself, I see there's something sewn in the bottom of her shirt. Looked like writing, but I can't read for shite. So I call over the only educated guy in the crew and have him look at it. Turns out it was a name. Jaren. Your name ain't me, it's Jaren, I say. And she lights up like a fucking village we just got through with. Really? My name's Jaren? I never knew. I let out the biggest sigh of my life and say to her, you're the dumbest broad I ever known. About a month after we picked up the girl, we had a bit of trouble. There's this chubby bloke by the name of Marcos, and he starts getting this thing for her, yeah? I ain't want to get on a guy about what gets his rocks off, but a 5-year-old girl, that just ain't right. Marcos was kind of slow in the head, always back of the pack, and mostly useless when we went out on jobs. The only reason we kept him around was because he made a good pack mule. He was annoying as all hell besides. Always saluting and saying aye aye, like he thought we were a bunch of pirates or something. And he called everyone boss, because apparently that was the only form of respect he knew. Day after day, well, aye aye, boss, and I'm on it, boss, and let me massage your back, boss, was enough to drive a man mad. And because he was the first one to talk to her, Jaren started imitating him. So now we got 2 buffoons running around talking like that. Obnoxious as it was, though, end of the day, that's all it was. But that changed when Marco started getting real fond of the girl. Every little thing we did, he'd go around telling us to be nicer to her, yeah? As far as we saw it, compared to when we first took her in, we were treating her pretty damn well. Of course, that's all relative. A proper slave probably still got less hell from their master than we gave the girl. But remember, we only brought her along so we could have fun. We never intended to make her part of the crew. But Marcos wasn't having any of it. Son of a bitch actually snapped at us. You'll pay if you don't stop right now, boss. And he wanted to fight, so we gave him a fight. The whole lot of us beat the ever-loving hell out of him, stomped his face in so bad you couldn't recognize the poor bastard anymore. But that wasn't enough for him. His face a big bloody mess, Marcos said, I won't let you lay another finger on Jaren, boss. Tell you the truth, I didn't think he had the sack. Then Jaren comes trotting in. Seems she heard the ruckus and wanted to see what was up. Marcos' eyes went wide and he yelled, "Stay back." But the girl, she just stood there, the same old stupid smile on her face. Seeing her come in, one of the other guys smirks, plops his arse down on Marco's back, and holds a knife up against his neck and says, "Hey Jaren, you like Marcos?" And with a big grin she answers, "Aye, boss." Through the swollen, bruised up mess his face was, you could just barely make out Marcos smiling. Next, the guy on his back says, "Then would it make you sad if we roughed him up a bit more?" "What do you mean, rough him up?" "Cut off his fingers, scoop out his eyes, have a little fun." "Fun is fun. Why would that make me sad?" You hear that? I ain't making this up. The girl's still standing there, still smiling, and Marcos, he goes pale as a ghost. And he did it. He cut off his fingers. Jaren's still smiling. He gouged out his eyes, still smiling. And finally he slit Marcos' throat. Even as the blood's spraying right onto her face, she never once stopped smiling. Just before he kicked off, Marcos looked like he was thrown into the deepest, darkest pit of despair. I've seen the hope drain from God knows how many men's eyes, but that was on a whole nother level. And as you can imagine, I wasn't the only one Jaren creeped out anymore. Everyone felt the same way. She was so messed up, we all thought we might start turning into her if we kept her around any longer. So next city we land in, we sell Jaren off. And we all lived happily ever after, minus one twisted little girl. What do you think? Juicy enough for you? You feel sick? Sorry about that, chum. I thought you had a stronger stomach. I do wonder what Jaren's up to these days. She's still smiling like an idiot, or... What is a vassal? Hang on. What? Vassal definition. Holder of land by feudal tenure. Oh, okay. Okay. So like a lord, a feudal lord's wife. Okay. Good day to you too, sir. Thank you so much for all your hard work. Yes, that's correct. This is where our slaves were when they were stolen, as I described when I reported it. What? The number of stolen slaves I gave you doesn't match the number you heard from other sources? Oh, no, I had no intention of deceiving you. I simply assumed it wouldn't be a problem because I wasn't claiming we lost more than we did. Yes, I understand. I beg your pardon. I should have reported the number correctly. I will do so in the future, so please, if you would look the other way just this once. Why did I report fewer slaves were stolen? I imagine you would find that curious, yes. Why would anyone want less of their lost manpower returned to them, indeed? It's quite simple. I did not think it would be any great loss if she were not to come back. Oh no, she was a fine worker, and she didn't cause any trouble either. You want to know about the girl? I doubt it will be of any help to your investigation, but I don't mind telling you. I warn you, it's not a terribly pleasant story, though. Very well. As you wish, sir. We purchased her when she was about 5 years old, so she's been with us for quite some time. 8, maybe 9 years now. When we bought her, she was still too young to put to work. She was in good health, though, and always had the sweetest smile on her face, so I had little doubt she would do as she was told. Slaves tend to be so gloomy and depressing, you know? I wonder why! Not that I don't understand, but unlike many, we try not to mistreat our slaves. As long as they do their work, they have nothing to worry about. The best slaves, I think, are the ones who aren't so dreary as to be infectious and make us feel guilty. The girl's name was Jaren, and while she talked rather funny, she was as bright and cheerful as I had hoped. And she was always smiling from ear to ear. For a while, it felt like we had a brand new member of our family. I was so taken with her, I almost considered adopting her and instead of keeping her as a slave. And how did I go from wanting to take her in to not caring if she didn't come back? It's rather difficult to explain, to tell you the truth. Yes, that's right. She never caused any trouble. She never stole anything, and she never refused to work. She never cried and she never got upset. No matter what happened, she always did her work with a smile on her face. That sounds like the ideal slave? Yes, you would think so. And I have no complaints regarding her work. Neither did my husband nor our servants. I imagine I am the only one who would be happy to never see her again. I started thinking the girl peculiar about 2 years after we purchased her. Right around that time, one of our other slaves attempted to run away. Yes, that's right. As I said, we have never once mistreated our slaves. Other slave owners could learn a thing or two from us, I say. We tell all our slaves when we buy them that they will be set free as soon as they worked enough to pay back what we paid for them. So he had only 10 years, and then he would have been free. But he chose to spit in the face of our generosity, and... My apologies, I've gotten off track, haven't I? The slave who ran was captured soon after, but trying to flee is one of the greatest transgressions a slave can commit against his master. As such it was, I am sure you understand, necessary to punish him. But I assure you, we never mistreat... Yes, I'm sorry. I'll continue. So as I said, he had to be punished. My husband took a length of rope and used it as, a whip, I think it's called. He had all the slaves watch as he lashed the one who had tried to run. It was for their own sake. The other slaves needed to see what would happen if they attempted to flee. The lashing continued for a full day. All the slaves present reacted differently. Some averted their eyes, some cried, some looked on trembling, but it was clear they were afraid, which meant the punishment had served its purpose. For everyone except Jaren, that is. Yes, that's correct. She simply smiled. At first I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me, but every time I looked over at her I saw the same thing. As the slave being lashed screamed out in pain, Jaren didn't even flinch. She just stood there, smiling. Just looking at her gave me the chills. My husband thought it curious as well, but he wasn't nearly as put off as me. She was 7 at the time and a hard worker, and he said there was no issue as long as she didn't cause any trouble. But that completely misses the point, you know? She gave me the creeps. I wasn't comfortable with her around. But of course my husband has the final say. I couldn't defy him. So I did my best to forget that day. I couldn't get the girl out of my mind, though, no matter how hard I tried. My gaze was drawn to Jaren, and I noticed quite a bit as I observed her more carefully. Say one of the slaves hurts himself while working. You might expect another slave to ask if he's all right, to help patch up the wound, to volunteer to take on his responsibilities for the day, to show concern and compassion. But Jaren, she would just smile and go on her way, not a word. She was hardly perfect either. Is anyone, though? And she would make mistakes occasionally. Everyone slips up, and we try not to make a huge fuss about it because we sincerely value our slaves and the work they... My apologies. Apologies? Whatever. You know what? Whatever. In any case, we can't simply brush such mistakes off, so we make sure to admonish them whenever something happens to ensure things run smoothly. But even as I scold her, Jaren's still smiling. As I'm sure you can imagine, it's hard not to feel as though you're being disrespected. So once I lost my temper and smacked her. It was only the once, though. I swear, I'm not a violent woman. I hate raising my hand to anyone. I was sure that if nothing else, would make her cry. But still she smiled, with half her face red and swollen. Swollen. I was so perplexed I came straight out and asked her, "Why do you not cry? I just hit you. How can you keep smiling?" And she said, "Why would I cry? I'm not sad about anything." Pressing the issue further, I discovered she had evidently never felt bad for anyone in her life, including herself. Can you imagine? How terrible is that? It's not right. So I decided I needed to teach her how she was supposed to act. I taught her that when she saw someone get hurt, she needed to show sympathy. That when she was being reprimanded, she needed to show remorse and a desire to improve. Jaren listened carefully to every word I said, and before long, she started putting my teachings into practice. At first, I was relieved. Jaren was finally a regular girl. She showed concern, compassion, regret. But it was all an act.
She acted sad when someone got hurt, and then she turned around and was smiling again. It never lasted more than a few moments. Emotions were but a flash, there, then gone before you realized. It wasn't normal. It wasn't human. She didn't genuinely feel sympathy. Beyond the surface, she was no different than the girl who smiled as a fellow slave was being whipped before her eyes. Jaren had learned nothing. Unable to bear it anymore, I went to my husband again. I told him she wasn't normal. There was something wrong with her. I implored him to do something. But my pleas fell on deaf ears. She was a good worker, he said. We couldn't ask for a better slave, he said. Oh, but he couldn't have been any more wrong. He wasn't the one who had to look after her. He had no idea what it was like, how unsettling it was merely being in her presence, how deeply upsetting it was. My apologies. I'm fine now. As you can imagine, I'm not particularly fond of Jaren. So it was a weight off my shoulders when I heard she was one of the stolen slaves. Why are you giving me that look? You think I'm the one who has the problem? You think there's nothing wrong with her, just like my husband? One look at her smile and you'd know I'm telling the truth. That she's not simply a little eccentric. That there's more to it than that. I can't take it anymore. Is there no one who will understand me? Kick back for a bit, why don't you? I'm in the mood to talk. Nah, I'm not gonna charge extra. I don't bill by the hour. Oh, you never thought of me as a talkative girl? I guess that just goes to show you how much I've taken to you. No, I'm not trying to butter you up, I swear. I've been thinking a lot these days about the place I last worked at, and it's really been getting me down. I can't think of anyone I want with me at times like this more than you. Did something happen there? I've been waiting for that question. It's a bit of a long story. I hope you don't mind. There's a city about 10 days by carriage from here. You know the one, right at Lord Barnier's doorstep. The place I used to work was there, and every so often the Lord would summon a few of the prettiest girls to come to his manor. I'm hardly the best-looking girl around, even out here, so I was never one of the chosen. But honestly, I'm lucky for it. It's not the kind of thing you want to go mentioning in public, but the Lord has some, unsavory hobbies. Every girl who ever came back said, there's no amount of money you can pay me to do that again. Word is the Lord has a taste for torturing and killing his slaves. Not just if you screw up either. If he's in the mood and he so much as sees you, you could be dead. He's got a dungeon under his manor too, they say, and you can hear wailing coming from down there at all times of day. The Lord enjoys all different kinds of torture. Flaying, dismemberment, boiling, the water cure. I'm sure he uses others, but I've only heard bits and pieces secondhand. He only ever killed the slaves, though. The girls all came back in one piece. On the outside, at least. Being forced to watch people get brutally murdered did a real number on most of them. Some were so broken by the experience they couldn't work anymore. So the Lord, apparently, he hosts banquets at his manor every so often. But here's the kicker. He only invites nobles that are into the same sort of thing. He's not the only one. We're being governed by God knows how many twisted freaks. I don't even want to think about it. Anyway, something like 2 years ago, I think it was, a couple of girls came back looking a good 20 years older, and they told us about one of these banquets. Most of the time, it's just him and his noble friends torturing slaves, but this one was different. There was a girl, maybe 10 years old, chained up naked on this makeshift altar, but here's where it gets crazy. The girl, who they called a saint, was covered in scars, head to toe. They cut her up and filled the cups with her fresh blood. But she didn't cry. She didn't even flinch. She just sat there quietly. And when she did speak, it was to condemn them as blasphemers and sinners. Can you imagine? Chained up like that, and she's scolding her captors? Telling them God will punish them for their actions. I wouldn't have the guts. Maybe she was raised at the church or something. but I'm guessing that's got something to do with why they called her a saint. Oh yeah, the slave revolt was around that time too. You hear about that? Just rumors? Well, they're not just rumors, it really happened. Because of the revolt, the girls who had been there made it out in mostly decent shape. And for a while afterwards, the Lord didn't send for anyone. I'm guessing he was too preoccupied patching up the holes in his manor and finances to spend much time fooling around. Sort of changing topics for a second, but about that same time, this dark-skinned girl, the kind you don't see too often around these parts, started working here. Name was Jaren. She was pretty, always had the whitest smile on her face, and real friendly. Seemed like this kind of girl who'd drawn a lot of business. And I was right. Within a couple of weeks, she had already picked up a few regulars, and her manager was going on about how happy he was with his purchase. About a month in, though, we started getting complaints from one of her customers. He said she was being condescending with him. I brought it up with Jaren, but she said she had no idea what he was talking about. So I assumed the customer was just imagining it or full of it. You get guys like that all the time in this business. No, don't worry. You're not one of them. But the complaints kept coming in, which made me think maybe there was something going on. So I decided to talk things out with the guys making the complaints this time, get a better picture of what the problem was. Most of them were pretty useless and vague, but the common issue seemed to be that her behavior didn't make sense. One guy came in after bungling a huge trade deal, hoping to find some comfort, and he spilled his guts to Jaren. But instead of trying to console him, she laughed. You can see why he wouldn't be thrilled about that. When I asked Jaren about it, she gave me a confused look and said, I thought he was telling a funny joke. There was no malice, nothing. She genuinely didn't understand how the customers wanted her to act. Can't run a business like this without a solid customer base. So making sure everyone leaves happy is crucial to an operation. Which is probably not something I should be talking about with a customer, but, well, you're special, so cut me some slack, okay? Anyway, something had to be done about Jaren. We couldn't risk more dissatisfied customers. So I figured the best thing to do was give her some training. Here's how you should react if a client brings up such and such, and here's what you should say if they're looking depressed or upset or whatever. How and when to be reactive, how and when to be proactive. Jaren was a quick study, so it wasn't long before she was putting my lessons to work. I would have been happy with just reducing the number of complaints to a more normal level, but Jaren improved so dramatically we heard nothing but praise from then on. See, a patron was looking a little blue. She'd give them a big pouty face and say, What's the matter? You can tell me anything. Oh no, that's terrible. I feel awful for you. Is there anything I can do to help? Anything at all? Just this constant stream of comfort, almost to the point of being excessive. She had gone from bright and energetic to sweet and sympathetic as well. On the surface, anyway. Every condolence she offered was completely fake. She was acting, and I knew because I was the one who had taught her how. There was nothing wrong with that, though. We're not in the business of genuine human interaction, after all. Thinking back on it now, though, I probably should have taught her what the real thing feels like rather than just how to fake it. About a year later, the Lord started sending for girls again. We all knew he was a madman. That was common knowledge. But he paid well, and everyone always came back alive. So we reluctantly complied. But we were wrong. He did kill the girls this time. One came back alive, but she was missing an eye and half an arm. She was in no condition to go back to work. Even just going about her daily life would be difficult. We were aghast. But things only got worse from there. The next time the Lord sent for us, we panicked. For one, no amount of money was worth what waited the Lord's manor. And two, it was impossible to run a business if your employees kept getting killed. So we attempted to turn him away. But his messenger simply said the Lord will not take no for an answer. We were either complied or we were all executed for treason. What little hope we had left crumbled. We were screwed either way. So we fought amongst ourselves like a pack of wild animals. I'm too ugly, you go. I have more regulars, you go. No one likes you anyway. Pure chaos. I was, of course, part of the brawl. And here's where she comes in. Jaren. Everyone's in a big mob, clawing each other's faces off, and she just tilts her head and asks, Why are you so afraid of the Lord? Seeing that stupid clueless look on her face, just about everyone in the room burst a vessel. All right, we'll send her, we said, and it was decided. Jaren smiled, not bothered in the slightest, gave us a cheery "see you later," and went off to the Lord's Manor. To no one's surprise, she never came back. We figured she had been killed. A week or so later, the messenger showed up again asking for more girls. By this point, the manager was furious. He demanded to speak with the Lord in person, saying if something wasn't done, the whole brothel would collapse, and he'd put his life on the line to prevent that. Seeing him so resolute, I felt a newfound respect for him. I also thought he was a complete idiot, but I still respected him. After all, there was no way the Lord would be open to negotiation. That much was obvious from everything he'd done. The manager and a few assistants set off for the Lord's Manor, and about 2 weeks later he returned. Or his head did. His assistants managed to avoid death, so they were able to tell us about what had happened. No one was exactly thrilled to hear more twisted tales about the Lord, but we listened anyway, and no one could have imagined what they told us. Jaren was there, with the Lord, alive and well. Not only had she not been killed, he had apparently taken quite a liking to her. The manager was surprised to see her too, but he figured it was as good a chance as he would ever get. If Jaren would speak up in his favor, the Lord might actually listen to her. So emboldened, the manager pleaded with the Lord, begging him not to harm the girls, that we wouldn't be able to send anyone else otherwise. And for attempting to oppose him, the Lord ordered the manager to be executed. The manager, however, entreated Jaren for help. If you have a heart, Jaren, please tell the Lord not to take my life. I have people who need me. Without hesitation, Jaren nodded, saying, "You think you could maybe let him live?" That seems a bit, I don't know, disrespectful for a whore to speak to the Lord like that, but he didn't get upset with her or anything. He really had taken a liking to her, apparently. The Lord nodded and said, "I'll offer you a choice then. Jaren, you may have whichever of the following you prefer. Either I spare this man's life, or you can have my full attention for the rest of the day." The manager and his assistants were all baffled. How was that even a decision? How was a man's life, a man who had employed her for more than a year no less, comparable to a little attention? But they were even more baffled by Jaren's reaction. She thought about it for a second, and then blushing, she said, "I want your attention." Everyone's jaws dropped. The manager about burst into tears. He begged her to reconsider, to have pity. He asked what he had ever done wrong to her. "You never did me wrong," she said. "Then why won't you have him spare me?" "I just want his attention more." "And you're willing to let me die for that? What's so scary about dying anyway?" Not only did she not comprehend sorrow, she seemed to be devoid of anything resembling fear as well. Which explained why she had so much trouble sympathizing with people's suffering, while she was always smiling no matter how bad things got. Without our manager, the brothel went to hell. His son took over, but he didn't give a damn about any of the girls. All he cared about was if he had enough booze to keep himself perpetually smashed. So figuring I had a better chance elsewhere, I left everything behind and ran, leaving my future in fate's hands. Fate was kind to me, and I managed to make it here. They come to me in my dreams sometimes, though. I still see the faces of the poor girls we sent off to the gallows.
Oh, Jaren. Oh, Jaren. Oh, Jaren. I'm curious if there are people who exist like this in real life. Because I know, like, there are psychopaths who, like, don't feel emotion, like, they don't feel empathy. But this is, like, a little different. Because, like, she has no emotional capacity whatsoever. Whereas I feel like psychopaths have, or sociopaths, maybe. I'm not sure the difference, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, as far as this goes. They at least have emotional capacity when it's in regards to themselves, like their own emotions. But they don't have empathy. Whereas, like, she has nothing. She is empty. Head empty, no thoughts. Kinda jealous. Oh. No. Sorry. My sitting's up. There we go. Okay.
What? Where am I again?
Awake again, are you, whore?
Who are you, sir?
It would seem your memories have not fully recovered. Allow me to remind you how you got here, then.
No, wait! It's right on the tip of my brain. Let's see. I was at the brothel, and then I was invited to the Lord's place. I got brought to a big city. Then I was taken to the Lord's castle. The Lord called me into his room. And then you strangled me!
Indeed. Your memory has returned without problem.
I'm super duper good at remembering things. Wait! Why did you strangle me?
To test my theory.
Your theory? Of what?
That you're mad.
Mad? About what?
Not that kind of mad. First of all, I never bring just one whore to my quarters. I brought you here because you piqued my personal curiosity.
You mean you're having orgies in here every day? Wowzers, you've got some serious stamina.
Not being alone with one person reduces the chance of an assassination attempt.
Ah, that makes sense. It's pretty tough being in the Lord, huh? So what are you so curious about little me for?
The other day, you and a handful of other whores attended to the torturing of a slave, if you recall. I made you all watch as he died. But you didn't seem affected in the slightest.
Ah! Crap, I'm so sorry.
For what?
I wasn't sad enough, was I? The nice farm lady and the girl at the brothel taught me how to be sad and how to be angry. But if I'm not careful, I forget. I'm sorry for not being sad like I was supposed to.
As I said, you piqued my interest. Had you sobbed and screamed like any other whore, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
What? So maybe not being sad wasn't bad?
That it wasn't.
Huh. No one's ever said that to me before.
I always thought you unusual, but I couldn't be certain about what you were without getting more personal. Which is why I brought you here to test that theory. You don't fear death, do you, whore?
It's not just death. I've never felt sad or scared about anything ever. I didn't even know how sad or scared were things people felt at all until someone told me. But now I know all about them and how you're supposed to act when you feel them. I just don't know what they actually are.
Truly fascinating. Tell me more.
Huh? Well, what do you want to know?
Let's see. Tell me your whole life story. Tell me everything, as far back as you remember.
Wow! Huh. No one's ever been this interested in me. This is super nice. Alrighty then, I'll tell you everything. Don't hesitate to conk out if you get bored. And ta-da! Here I am! What'd you think? As boring as I thought I'd be?
Hardly. That was easily the most engrossing childhood story I have ever heard. Wait till you hear Morgana's. No, just kidding.
Woohoo!
Smiling as your parents are killed before your eyes. I'm hardly one to talk, but you're one thoroughly heartless girl.
I still wish I could do that over. I really love my mom and dad, and the nice farm lady taught me you're supposed to be sad when people you love die.
That's why you want to do over?
What?
You're incapable of experiencing sorrow, no? Feigning it for the occasion won't change the fact that you don't actually feel sad about losing them.
I guess you're right. I can pretend, but I still don't know what it feels like. I don't understand why people are so afraid of death to begin with. I mean, pain isn't fun, I get that much. But if you don't let it bother you, it's not that big a deal. Plus, once you die, you get to go to heaven. So I don't get what there is to be so afraid of.
Not everyone goes to heaven.
Oh, that's right. But still, I'm sure there are plenty of fun things to do in hell.
Jaren wrote this hell by Rina Sawayama. Fascinating. You truly are twisted to your very soul.
Oh, but I do sometimes feel disappointed.
Do tell.
Like, sometimes I wish I could eat my mom's supper again. And I feel left out when everyone's talking about how weird I am. Maybe sad is just like an even stronger version of that?
I get the impression your entire experience of negative emotion is fundamentally distorted, so I don't know if you can say that. Jaren.
I?
Would you like to remain with me?
What?
Normally, I send horses back to where they came from when I'm done with them. But I'm offering you the chance to stay here with me.
Are you asking for my hand in marriage? What do I do? I went from whore to the Lord's wife in 3 seconds flat.
Fool. I would never even take a mere prostitute as a concubine.
Drat.
I am, however, fond of you, so I am offering you a place in my house.
So you're saying you actually want me around? Even knowing what kind of person I really am?
You could say that, yes.
Wow. No one's ever actually wanted me before.
As promised, Jaren, you have my full attention for the rest of the day.
Whee!
Honestly, it shouldn't surprise me anymore how twisted you are. Twisted so far, in fact, you're the most sincere and honest person in the land. To a fault. You hardly even gave that man's life a second thought. The look on his face as he died was magnificent. You are a cruel girl.
Ugh, I didn't do anything wrong, no matter what you say. I didn't steal anything. I didn't kill anyone. I tried to stay out of everyone's way as much as possible.
So you actually have some concept of right and wrong? Which means you understand that I am a wicked man?
I was taught the difference, yes.
Fascinating. However, simply knowing the difference is of no use. If you don't feel the repulsion it's supposed to elicit. Knowing full well that I was acting maliciously, still you selfishly chose my affection, sentencing that man to death.
That's not what No, I guess you're right. I guess I did let him die for my own selfish desires. Looks like I've still got a lot to learn.
No, you stay exactly the way you are. As I've said before, you don't need to put up a facade around me. Don't act sad if you're not sad. Don't act angry if you're not angry. Don't feign pity for someone you don't care about. Be you.
But everyone says
Your natural self neither disgusts nor disturbs me. In fact, I greatly prefer you that way. No matter how many slaves I kill and torture for my own entertainment, you never leave my side. You happily accept me, no matter what I do. I would rather not lose that. Don't stand so far away. Sit down beside me.
Aye.
I have allowed you to stay here for a month now. In that time, you've been a constant source of entertainment. And you've expressed no desire to leave either, despite being well aware of what kind of man I am.
The same goes for you, Barnier. You all want me to stay even though I'm such a weirdo.
The difference between you and I, though, is that I kill and you do not.
You know, I've been wondering.
What?
Why do you like killing so much?
It would seem your perception of me is slightly inaccurate. It is not the act of killing I enjoy, but the look of dread and despair on a man's face as his life is ripped away. Oh, I'm gonna introduce you to a guy. His name's Yuki Masa. I just hit my microphone. They would be besties. Damn. If only they had met. Damn. There's a difference? In your mind, perhaps not.
I kind of like to know what what it's like in your mind then. I told you my story. Maybe you could tell me more about you, Barnier. Not that I blame you if you don't want to tell a prostitute like me.
You're not a prostitute anymore.
I'm not? Then, what am I?
You're my property.
Ooh, that sounds super nice!
So to answer your question, I was not always the man I am today. I had several brothers, though I was the eldest. As such, I was the first in line of succession. There should have been no question as to who was the rightful heir in the house. But my father, the previous lord, wanted my brothers to succeed him instead. Without any reason to pass over me, though, he would have faced significant opposition and put the family's reputation and legitimacy at risk. I was neither infirm nor mentally challenged, but rather extremely talented, which gave my father no leverage to deny me the throne. The one thing I lacked was sycophantry? Hey Google, how do we say this one? Sycophantry. Sycophantry. The one thing I lacked was sycophantry. Thanks. Seeing people try to butter each other up made me physically sick. It seemed to me the last kind of behavior royalty should be engaging in. I kind of agree with him on this point. I believe that merely possessing leadership ability should be sufficient for ruling effectively. But in this world, only those who can win others' favor make it anywhere. Only those who make themselves look good in their peers like fools. I have bad news for you, sir. In like 1,000 years, it doesn't get any better. Those who can claim others' achievements as their own, who can appear to have more power than they actually do. My father and brothers forsook me, making an attempt on my life. Because they could not legitimately remove me as the rightful heir, they could only kill me if they wanted their way. I was fortunate enough to survive the attempt, but I still carry the scar today.
You mean the big one on your back?
That's right. You're surprisingly observant. I was in danger of not just losing the lordship, but my life. I was left with 3 choices. To let them kill me, to flee and live in poverty, or to kill them first. I was born to rule, though, so in reality I only ever had one choice. I murdered my father and all my brothers, leaving me as the only one in the line of succession. But becoming the lord did not immediately win me everyone's favor. Distant relatives crawled out of the woodwork to claim my throne as rightfully theirs. The people demanded I satisfy their every whim and fancy. And even my attendants tried to push their own agendas. The whole affair quickly grew tiring. Dozens were clamoring for a say in matters I could easily handle myself. So I silenced them. Before long, the prodding voices had become corpses. And it was somewhere around that time I found myself intrigued by fear. Fear is a wonderful thing, an incredibly effective silencer that spreads like a plague. Sufficient application will preemptively stop everyone from interfering. Fear strips man of all his will. When it became apparent to me that one did not have to be a great leader to rule effectively, all the time I had spent in my younger days working to improve myself felt like an incredible waste. Fear became the centerpiece of my rule, and as I continued to employ it, I began to derive great pleasure from the despair it instilled in others. Men trembled at the sight of me. They bowed their heads and abandoned their dignity. They begged me to spare their lives. And what an exquisite sight it was every single time. Enrapturing. You were born into your madness, Jaren, but I was molded into mine.
Huh. That's neat. But Lord Barnier, wouldn't that make me a bad match for you? I'm not scared of you at all.
Man is a curious beast, you see. Once everyone feared me, then I came to seek those who did not.
Whoops. You sure are hard to please.
You make it sound like I'm merely a picky child. Though I suppose there's little difference in your eyes. There were a number of others among the nobles who had, like me, strayed from the path. Hardly a surprise given what life as a noble is like. So I started throwing banquets, inviting those who would be interested. These parties were to serve two purposes. The first, obviously, being for my own amusement. The second, to find those with similar tastes and bring them into my circle. I found little success with the latter, however, despite my rather zealous attempts at recruitment, so I no longer waste the effort.
You weren't able to make any friends then?
No, I was not. The other nobles had no interest in getting their own hands dirty. Hope you can't hear the trash man. They only wanted to watch, getting their titillation from a safe distance. Not a single one shared the same madness as me. Jaren.
I?
You are far better than any of them.
What? Thanks.
What are you squirming about? I thought nothing bothered you.
I am capable of getting flustered, thank you.
There is something deeply wrong with you.
You're the one who decided to throw that curveball, Lord Barnier.
Enough with the formalities already. You are not a whore anymore. You're allowed to use my name.
Huh? That is your name, though.
You don't know your own lord's full name, do you, Jaren?
What?
Answer the question, girl.
I'm sorry.
Allow me to help. I will only say this once, so don't forget it. My name is Jean-Francois Barnier, firstborn son and rightful heir of the Barnier family.
Got it memorized. That's a really long name, though. I think I'll call you Franny. That rolls off the tongue nicer.
He's like, never mind, I'm going to kill you.
Now I need to move my leggy. Oh, leggy, fall asleep.
Even with all my windows closed, the trash is so loud. Trash trucks, you know, we need them. But, like, how are they so loud? Why haven't we used technology to make them quiet?
I assume I could take that cryptic chuckle as an okay?
Only if you wish to be hanged. Call me Francois. Jaren. Get up, Jaren.
What?
I swear you spend every moment you're not otherwise occupied sleeping.
I love sleeping.
I said get up, you feeble-minded Nimrod.
Ow! You didn't have to hit me. Yeesh. There are nicer ways to wake a girl up, you know.
Be grateful I only hit you hard enough to wake you. I swear the church may have to redefine sloth if they ever meet you.
This bed's so comfy, though.
You do realize the blood of dozens of women has seeped into every fiber?
Comfy's still comfy, though.
That wouldn't bother you, would it?
So what's up, Francois? You need me for something?
Yes, I have a favor to ask of you.
What? A favor? Of me? What is it? I'll do anything.
Without even hearing what it is?
It doesn't even matter what it is. You can say the word and I'll do it, Francois.
And what if I asked you to take your own life right here?
Just give me the knife.
I should honestly be more used to this by now.
Why wouldn't I do anything for you, Francois? I love you. No one's ever cared for me like you before. No one's ever wanted me as much as you. You're happy with me as I am, despite me missing all the most important pieces. Or happy with me as I am. Mm-hmm. Cadence.
Again, I really shouldn't be so surprised. Fear not, though, I won't be asking you to die today.
How much harder is it going to be then? I hope you don't want me to kill anyone. It would be my first time, and I'm not sure I could pull it off properly.
You're at the bottom of my list of prospective assassins. I doubt you could successfully smother a baby. Although, you could probably cause a great deal of death, I imagine. I would like to make you into a mole.
So you want me to dig holes?
In a sense. There's been word of unrest building in the city of late. Money and resources gathered below the table. Murmurings of resistance being organized.
So a bunch of baddies.
Precisely. I want you to go down to the city and try to find as many baddies as you can, then report back to me. Can you do that?
Aye, I can try.
Excellent. A whorehouse would be the best place for you to start gathering information, I think. All I need you to do is deliver reports. Anything more involved would probably cause that empty head of yours to burst.
Aye. I just realized if I go into the city, I won't be able to see you as often, Francois.
Does that displease you?
A whole lot. Oh, I bet this is what being sad feels like.
In your twisted mind, perhaps so. How about this? I will have a servant act as a regular client of yours. He will pretend to be a well-off merchant. At regular intervals, he will patronize the brothel, requesting your services and bringing you back to his residence. He'll pay well enough that they won't mind if you're gone for a few days, during which time you can come to the manor and see me. How does that sound?
Whee! I love it!
Next, we need to discuss how you present yourself. Although you're free to be yourself in my presence, you will need to put on a suitable act down in the city.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Now I'm getting on butterflies.
You spent years doing precisely that before you came here.
Well, I didn't have you counting on me to do a good job of it back then, Francois.
Allow me to offer you a piece of advice, then.
What? I'm all ears.
Freely tell others about the misfortunes of your upbringing.
I don't think I had a bad childhood, though.
You may not, but others will. Your parents murdered as you watched, taken captive by the men who did it. Tell people your story, but don't act overly dejected.
Huh? Why not? Won't people think there's something wrong if I'm not sad?
People will think it's more unusual if you get too dramatic because it's so far out of line with your regular disposition. Good acting is subtle, not overdone.
Oh.
People will feel great pity for you when they hear of your past. And then they will see your exuberance as a sign you fought and found the strength of will to move past your ill fortune. They will be impressed, taken with you. So you needn't exaggerate your performance. Just give it a little bit of flavor. As long as you don't tell anyone these emotions are beyond your grasp, no one will have any reason to suspect otherwise.
Huh. Neato. I'm feeling a lot better about this now.
I expect you won't disappoint me.
Aye, aye, boss. So hey, Francois?
What is it?
What would you do if, hypothetically speaking, if when I go down to the city, I learn what sadness and fear feel like?
I would kill you, because I would no longer have any interest in you.
Awesome! I'm just glad you didn't say you'd kick me out. Every girl dreams of being killed by the man she loves.
No, they do not. You want me to kill you?
If it comes down to it, I guess. Though really, I'd rather be with you forever.
Oh, Jaren. Oh, Jaren. Oh, my sweet baby girl. Into the room, Jaren. Now.
Ow, 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 you're gonna yank my arm off.
I wouldn't have to if you wouldn't move.
Ugh.
I need water. Listen very carefully. You stay in this room until everything is blown over. Do not open the door for anyone.
But is this what I think it is?
You are only to leave the room if I tell you it's safe, or the manor goes completely silent. And if someone breaks down the door, tell them you are being held captive by the Lord. My predilections are well known among the people. No one will suspect you are lying. I must go now. Farewell, Jaren. I rather enjoyed our time together.
Wait, don't go! I've got an idea, Francois. We could escape through that window there. Tie the sheets up into a rope and climb down. Then we can go somewhere far away where nobody will find us.
I do not have that liberty.
Why not?
Because I am the lord of this land. I was born to be the lord. I murdered my own family to keep my claim to this title. And I will not abandon it until my final breath. I was a fool and a tyrant, neither a great leader nor a great man, but I still bear the responsibility of my role. Fleeing is not an option.
I never thought you were a tyrant.
The rest of my lordship would disagree with you. I used fear as a weapon of control, murdering slaves for fun and prioritizing my own desires over the needs and lives of my people. Do you have a better word for what I am? Whereas you grasp the difference between good and evil, but lack the requisite emotions to give those concepts meaning, I knowingly chose to stray from the path of righteousness.
Didn't you say you could run things just fine with fear? That it was very effective?
Indeed, you can run things exceedingly well with fear, though I never said you could do so forever. I foresaw signs the people were turning against me 3 years ago. While I did what I could to crush the seeds of revolt before they grew, it would seem I missed a few.
If you knew this was coming, couldn't you have stopped it?
I've traveled so far down the wicked path it would be nigh impossible for me to find my way back into the light. Which means all I could do was continue on and see what awaited me at the end. I could never play the benevolent ruler, though. Those people are inscrutable to me. They all appear to be either ravenous beasts or feeble-minded swine. Were I able to have any love for my own people, perhaps things could have turned out differently.
I can't stand here and wait, Francois. I want to be with...
You will do as I say, girl. What's gotten into you, Jaren? Death is supposed to be meaningless to you. You do not experience sorrow over loss.
But I...
Should I not come back, go on smiling. Do not think I will simply let them walk in and kill me. I have dozens of skilled guards, and I can handle a sword myself as well. Far better than any mere peasant. They're getting closer. Now remember, you are not to leave this room. Understood? You are my property, and property does not defy the will of its master.
And what if I do come out?
Jaren, you will not be of any help to me out there. And should you obstruct me in any way, I will not hesitate to kill you. You do not have a choice. Is that clear?
Francois.
What? Time is running short.
I love you.
I will always place myself, the Lord Jean-Francois Barnier, above anything else in the world. And you second.
Wait. Second? That's kind of super crazy wow, isn't it? Whoa. I'm shaking a bit here. I've never felt this way before. Is this what being scared feels like? Huh. This is a lot worse than I imagined. It hurts real bad, like someone's sitting on my chest. I can hardly even breathe right. But it's kind of really wonderful. No, I can't do this. I can't be away from him.
Wherefore should the heathen say, where now is their God? But our God is in the heavens. I won't have time to read all this. They have hands, but they handle not feel. Yeah, it's automatically going. Long ass Bible verses. Oh, of course it's a psalm. The psalms are always so fucking. Like, psalms themselves are not long Bible verses, but they are. They're most often grouped together and in memorization and like quoting and stuff like that, so they end up being like longer. Anyway, part 2. How's it going? Told you it was gonna be bleak from here on out. No shreds of happiness to be found. And this is honestly, today is comparatively so much better than what's gonna happen in 2 weeks. Ouch. Next week will probably be the most fun. And it still won't be. I don't know, maybe today, because of Jaren. Anyway. Oh god, I don't know how to do your voice. Fuck, okay. Let me think about this for a second. 'Tis a great shame what happened to Ginevra. The post-revolution merrymaking continued into the wee hours of the morning. After things settled down and the men returned to the city, an elderly man calling himself Odilon, showed himself before me. Despite his evident age, the man stood tall and spoke in a clear, confident voice. Looking into his deep sapphire eyes, I felt as though I could see everything he had borne witness to in these walls engraved within them. Odilon revealed himself as an ally of the revolution, and as having been in contact with Ginevra. Had things proceeded as initially planned, she was to take power and build the land anew with my assistance, but great change is never without its cost. Nevertheless, I am unspeakably grateful for how swiftly you managed to dethrone the former lord. Gandalf. Without your heroic efforts, we would still... Enough with the ass-kissing. Tell me who you are and exactly what you're hoping to get out of me. No need to be so apprehensive, I assure you. I am more than happy to tell you everything you wish to know. I served as counsel to the late Lord Jean-Francois Barnier, and 'twas I who aided the revolution from within the manor walls, coordinating with Ginevra on the outside. So that'd make you the one who ordered the gates open for us then? Verily. Ergo, I say! He said the word! I was hoping to come up with an objection. I didn't. Oh no. The next thing you'll be eating is humble pie. Okay. I need to like block the word verily from my screen for a second. Verily. Indeed, I say, ergo. Witness. Oh, I'm like sweating. I'm laughing so hard. Oh, Edgeworth. What a bitch. I love him. Oh, I'm totally gonna have to draw him tonight. I got my new tablet, so I was like, which one of my slutty men am I gonna draw today? It was either gonna be him or Clavier. Clavier, rather. Clavier? Clavier, I guess, would be the French pronunciation of that, huh? Anyway. Furthermore, I arranged to have a number of the guards turn coat. Well, you did fine work. We would have lost a lot more men without your efforts. I have to ask, though, where were you while it was actually happening? I don't recall seeing you anywhere. I took the liberty of finding myself shelter. Now, fortunate for you to be able to kick back and watch, only to crawl out of your hole after we relieved the Lord of his head. There's hardly a more Edgeworth word than verily. There really isn't. And an ergo is another one, and I hate it because I use ergo a lot, because I got in the habit of doing it during writing research papers in undergrad, and then one of my best friends also uses ergo quite a bit, because we both are well read and everything. And so when he said ergo, he says ergo multiple times. I'm like, stop it, stop. I forgot to tell you about this the other day. When in Ace Attorney Investigations 2, when you present the Steel Samurai balloon as evidence, and I was like, it's a Steel Samurai, motherfucker. And then Edgeworth's line is literally just it's a Steel Samurai, and I'll thank you not to forget it. And I was like, god damn it. Damn it! Why are we the same? Ergo's a great word. Yeah. It's kind of like how I picked up in Japanese katoite, which is that being said, but I use that a lot in Japanese essays, which I picked up from Attack on Titan because it was I was like, oh, this is a really good grammar point, and then I started using it, and my teacher was like, wow, I'm so impressed you know that, and I was like, thanks. Anyway. Might you, perchance, be suggesting this old bag of bones take up the blade? I would only serve as an impediment to your success. 30 years ago, mayhap, but I hardly could I point a sword straight today. Let Edgeworth swear, TBH. Has he even said damn? I feel he should be at least allowed to say the line, God damn it, Kay. Come on. Or perhaps you would say that I, as a supporter of your cause, should have been present for the occasion regardless. But of little aid I would have been, merely dying a fool's death, becoming naught but another body upon which the living would trek. Alright, man, you're dramatic. You're skilled with your words, old man. Of course, 'tis my job. There is but one service I can provide you, my knowledge. Knowledge? Meaning you intend to continue to serve as the Lord's consul? For what other reason would I lend my hand to this revolution? You expect me to just take your word, to trust you? Surely you're aware that you cannot rightfully govern this territory without the acknowledgement of the neighboring counts and the king. Yeah, I feel like, goddammit, Kay, if it's not a line that he has, should be a line in a future game. Or if they officially, translate Investigations 2. I have knowledge and connections which would provide invaluable in establishing you as a legitimate and qualified to inherit the throne. Yes, I know, I did not saunter into here blind. I still hadn't figured out how I would accomplish that, but... Wait. I recognize you from somewhere. I remember. You were here during the revolt 3 years ago. You're the one who helped Barnier escape. 'Twas indeed I. That's all the more reason not to trust you. You sat back and watched, not a damn peep, as that clown of a lord left his people to rot. Like hell I'm letting you be my consul. You are an astute young man, but still far too green for your own good. And you fail to fully separate yourself from your old life. Excuse me. I assure you I was no more fond of Lord Barnier's predilections than you. But as I am sure you are aware, he was quick to send his opponents off to the gallows. And he would be no more merciful to his counsel than a slum dweller. My objections would have ensured but one thing, a swift, meaningless death. Moreover, you knew it was not yet the time and stayed your hand, nay. I, too, had reached the same conclusion, and was awaiting the appropriate time. The perfect time to rearrange the board. You must dispense of the childish emotion that controls you, act exclusively in service of that which most benefits you. and you cannot do so without someone to guide you. You are still merely a fledgling young man. You know not up from down in this vast new world. And you have neither an army nor the weapons with which to defend yourself. Should you go out into that world unaccompanied, it would snap your neck before you feel the hands upon your skin. Damn, okay, shut up. What benefits are you hoping to reap from this? You're not acting out of a love for the people. Not much is obvious. A chance to fulfill my duties as consul to the Lord. My expertise went largely unused under Lord Barnier's rule. 'Twas a deeply frustrating time for me. Though if I may be blunt, perhaps I should say that I would like to die knowing I have accomplished something worthwhile in my life. I can promise you I have no intention of mistreating the people for my own personal amusement. You've still given me no reason to actually trust you. Allow my work to speak for my words. Allow me to proffer unto you my knowledge, so that it might be of service to you. I don't completely trust this man, nor do I think I ever will. He's after something. Probably wants to use me as a puppet under the guise of assisting me as my consul. He makes a good point, though. I'll need someone to show me the ropes if I want any chance of governing effectively. Have you come to a decision? Okay. It's a pleasure to have you, Odolan. At your service. That said, try anything, and you'll be out the door faster than you can blink. Understood. Good. Now, if I may, I would like to offer my first instruction.
And what would that be?
You will need to make a formal proclamation of your succession. There are still many among your people who know not who you are. Thus you must declare yourself the rightful heir, the lost son of Lord Barnier's predecessor. You must assume a new name.
Say again?
The name by which you were known before is but a veil behind which you guarded your noble identity. And the time has come now for you to reclaim your true self.
Hold on a second. I'm not...
Yes, I am aware of your lineage.
Okay, then what name do you suppose I should take?
You shall assume his name. Jean-Francois Barnier.
Is this some kind of sick joke? You're insane if you think I'm taking on that psychopathic killer's name. Why on this green earth would I ever want to call myself after the man I dethroned?
Among the nobility, names are oft passed on, from father to son, from brother to brother.
But why his name? A name associated with fear and tyranny. Are you trying to hobble me before I take my first step?
You will remove the stain his deeds have left upon the name. Lord Barnier killed his father, brothers, and all their families and attendants, as Ginevra likely told you. Why do you suppose he killed them?
Are you mocking me, old man? He killed them because he was a damned madman.
Lord Barnier was not the rightful heir.
Excuse me?
He was merely a stand-in, to be disposed of and quietly replaced when came the time. However, he grew voracious for power, fixated on becoming the Lord himself. So he killed everyone who stood in his way, both the Barnier family and the attendants who knew the truth. Though he failed to realize that the Lord had sired another son. You, the rightful inheritor of the Jean-Francois Barnier name.
So that's our story, huh? I'm not the fake. He was.
When the truth is revealed, the people will be enraptured, and crucially, the damage to the Barnier family name will be minimized. After all, the Barniers were but victims of the charlatan's avarice. As you are to take on the Barnier family name, it is to your benefit that the reputation you inherit is as unblemished as possible. Furthermore, you have nothing to gain from keeping your present name. No longer are you the man that you were in the slums. You must become a new man entirely.
Enough. I need time to think. A day. Just give me one.
I cannot. 'Tis a matter of the utmost importance. You must act swiftly, for the opportunity will pass and the tides turn against you anon. The people are on your side for now. However, should you fail to expeditiously demonstrate that you, as their new lord, are likewise on their side, you will find yourself with more than accounts upon your doorstep. You must decide now. Sir.
All right. I'll swallow my pride. I knew that there would... Sorry, I was just like... I didn't take him for... I took him for a spitter. I'm so sorry I am this way. I knew there would need to be some changes before I embarked on this road. So this isn't unexpected. Just moving quicker than I was prepared for.
A wise decision. Now, before we move on to the next order of business, I must ask, are you physically well enough to remain on your feet for a short while longer? You will need to stand before your people and make a speech. Nevertheless, it is evident that you are wounded from your battle, and 'twould reflect poorly on your accomplishments were you to collapse during your first appearance.
I'll be fine. I can hold myself up long enough to give a speech.
Oh, youth, what a wonderful thing. You must be sure to get your rest once you have finished. I will arrange for the best doctor to come examine you.
Appreciated.
Now then, let us be off. You need merely repeat after me.
Hey, did you hear the new Lord's speech? Barnier was a fraud this entire time.
What? No way!
God, I should have skipped work and gone up to the manor to see it. You still got a chance. Go down to the square. The town crier's spreading the word of the whole thing. Did you hear? The new lord led the charge on the revolution. And he was the real Jean-Francois Barnier. I heard. I was there for his speech. He's so young. And he's on the eyes to boot. They say he spent years living in the slums, hiding his true identity. That must have been so difficult for him. At long last, we're free from our suffering. Free from the terror of Lord Barnier. Cheers for the new lord. Oh, give me a break. You're no damn lord.
How goes it, Maria? You look like you ain't slept in weeks. Where's your smile, girl? Today's a celebrating day. It's a day for celebrating. My brain cells left when I saw him.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
What?
You're the one who pushed him into this.
Huh? What are you getting pissy about?
You pressured him into this dumbass revolution, into becoming the fucking lord.
Whoa, that ain't what happened at all. Jacopo's the one who proposed the whole thing.
Bullshit. He was trying to talk sense into you at the Midsummer Festival.
Now, for the love of cripes, what crawled up your ass and died? The batshit asshole's gone, and now we got someone on our side in power. What's there to complain about?
Ugh. Is there anything in that meathead of yours?
What was that?
You do realize he can never come back now, right? He's the Lord. He's gone, and he's gone for good. Up there in that manor all by himself. And you dragged him up to the top of that hill and left him there.
I get that you want someone to take this out on, but Jacopo is also the one who proposed becoming the Lord.
No.
I didn't push a damn thing on him. He showed up one day with a ring bearing the Barnier family crest, and told everyone he was royalty and had a claim to the throne.
This is insane.
It was his words that sparked the revolution.
There's no way. Jacopo is royalty? You need to get a better sense of humor.
My thoughts exactly at first, too, but then I saw the crest on the ring. It's the real deal.
Did you miss the whole part where he put on the ring in front of everyone before we stormed the manor? His old spiel about being the heir? That was pretty damn convincing, if I do say so myself.
You seriously think I was there for some stupid pep talk?
Ain't you his friend? I feel like a friend should be rooting for his success, you know? That's what I'm doing, I can say that much. Anyway, I got a hot date with a couple of kegs, so I'm out of here. Unless you want to come with? We're gonna be partying all night long.
Like hell I'm coming.
Just thought I'd ask. Try not to look so sour all the time, Kay. You're much prettier when you're smiling. Aw, Gratian, why'd you have to say it?
Choke on a dick, asshole.
Duly noted. Gratian confirmed bisexual. Let's go. Later. He's like, yeah, I will tonight, actually.
I can't root for him because he's my friend. I know better than anyone. He's in over his head. All I can do is pray for you, Jacopo. Pray that you'll always be the Jacopo we know. That this won't change you. We're still friends, right? Even if we're worlds apart now.
After giving me just enough time to recover, Odilon quickly got to work instructing me in everything I needed to know to be a lord. My first priority was to revitalize the city, cleaning up the mess my predecessor had left it in. As much as I wanted to ensure that everyone had food and water, it simply wasn't possible to make happen overnight. We would need to significantly expand our farmland, build additional granaries, repair existing irrigation canals, not to mention crack down on crime and disorder. There was so much to do, it was almost dizzying. But the last thing I had time to do was whine. That said, none of it could happen with a snap of the fingers. It would take time and manpower, which meant we would have to use existing stores in the meantime. I asked the people, particularly among the upper class, to relinquish ownership of their stockpiles for me to redistribute among the population. That would allow everyone to make it through the transitional period, I figured. Naturally, though, not everyone was happy with the arrangement. But the cries of dissatisfaction were drowned out by the cheers of support when I explained that it was for everyone's sake. That we'd need to band together to carry the whole city through what would be a rocky transition. As I was patting myself on the back for a job well done, Odilon shook his head and said, "'Twill hold a year at most." We have enough stores to last at least 3 years, though. 2 if we want to be extra safe.
They will set your manor ablaze long before the stores run dry.
Excuse me? Why would they? I'm obviously doing everything in my power to revitalize the city. And I was the one who freed them from the claws of the tyrant.
The people see only the results. Though they accept your promises of improvement now, if in a year's time they do not see these words bear fruit, their trust in you will wither away. That you came from the slums is viewed now as a heroic rise to power, but your past will soon be turned against you, used to delegitimize you. You must produce for them tangible results.
God, I knew this wouldn't be easy, but still. Boils my blood to think my predecessor sat around on his ass all day. Did he even accomplish anything in his entire time as the Lord?
I can think of only one truly positive effect on his regime. His support for the arts.
His what?
Surely have you seen the numerous pieces of art adorning this manor's walls. He would often treat himself with works from the finest artists and artisans in the land.
Oh, you mean all those paintings and vases and fancy drapes? A bunch of worthless junk, every last bit of it. None of it will do anything to fill the people's empty stomachs.
'Twould seem you understand not the value of art.
Well, I did grow up in the slums.
Do you know what purpose art serves?
To make you feel better? It's nice to have around, but not much more than that.
Bribes, my boy. Those who hunger for power similarly hunger for ways to flaunt it. The singularity of a piece of art fills that role. Some have a genuine appreciation for art, others merely use it as a tool. But nonetheless, skilled craftsmen, artists in their work naturally gravitate toward those with power. 'Twould be wise for you to consider dressing somewhat less pedestrian soon. Now, we should be able to put the former lord's possessions to good use in helping you build up valuable relationships.
You mean start handing out bribes?
Indeed. But remember, they are negotiation tools. You must use them where they provide you the greatest returns.
Negotiation, huh? Alright, I think I see what you're getting at. If I want to revitalize the city in a year, I'm going to need help from my good neighbors. In exchange for provisions and workers, I offer the various counts pieces from Barnier's collection. Sound about right?
Precisely. My, you are much cleverer than I would have expected of a man from the slums. Now, if only you would become accustomed to this manner of thinking, you could become a fine leader in short order.
I appreciate the concern, old man.
I will dispatch messengers and arrange meetings with the counts so we can begin anon. And I hope I do not have to remind you, but you will need to be very careful with your words, Lord Barnier.
Yeah, I know.
You seem quite tired, Lord Barnier.
You think? Every day I have to go meet with someone new, and I spend all my travel time learning how to read and write. It's enough to exhaust anyone.
It is necessary nonetheless. Illiteracy will only...
Yes, I know. You said I look tired, and I'm telling you why that is. I never said I had a problem with it.
I overstepped. My apologies. Your diligence has been invaluable in earning the Count's favor, Lord Barnier. They think quite fondly of you.
Is that so? Because that's certainly not the impression I'm getting. They put on a facade of friendliness, but beneath the surface they're all laughing, trying to figure out how best to use me, or just outright scoffing. Not one of them sincerely trusts me. I'm just a pawn to them.
We are all pieces on one another's boards.
What's that supposed to mean?
It would be most prudent to consider that unqualified friendship simply does not exist in high society. All interpersonal relationships are built upon a foundation of mutual benefit, save for exceedingly rare, short-lived exceptions. Nonetheless, you should not consider being used a bad thing. We all climb atop each other's boards, offering ourselves up as a powerful piece. And so do they offer themselves to us. Should you wish to survive in high society, you must always ensure your peers see you as a piece worth playing.
That would mean you're putting yourself out there as well, old man.
Indeed. I am your pawn, Lord Barnier. I offer myself to you, and in your using me, I gain this position as consul to the Lord. 'Tis a far more practical and reliable system than one founded on something so uncertain as emotion. Would you not say?
Which is to say, I'm a pawn to him as much as he is to me. I suppose so. Then I too will have to ensure I remain useful, lest I be swept aside and another Barnier brought in to take my place.
Oh, sharp words, my lord. But worry not, for I have no qualms with your performance at present. Now, Lord Barnier, we must discuss your next...
Hold on a sec, would you?
Yes, sir.
Do you mind not calling me Lord Barnier in private? I can understand why you want to keep up the charade even when no one's looking. But frankly, I'm just not comfortable with it.
Very well. Then my lord it shall be.
Can't say I'm surprised you won't use my real name. But still. Yeah, that'll do. Thank you.
Not at all. Now back to business, my lord.
I appreciate Odilon. He makes some points. It took long enough, but we're finally starting to see some real progress. Who knew negotiation was so much work?
You should be proud of your accomplishments, my lord. 'Tis hardly an easy feat to amass that much manpower and resources in only 6 months.
Doing better than expected, huh? How's public opinion looking? Reports should be coming in by now, I assume.
Some dissatisfaction, but the numbers are within expectations.
Dissatisfied? With what? I've spent every waking moment these past 6 months working my ass off to revitalize this city. And people aren't happy with that? They should be jumping with joy.
My lord, you must understand that it is impossible to satisfy everyone. A degree of discontent is to be expected.
Even so, it should be blindingly obvious how much better I'm doing than that previous basket of rainbows and kittens.
All is forgotten on the gentle ebb and flow of time. Past injustices matter little in the face of the present.
It hasn't even been a year.
The people do not genuinely care about you, nor will they ever. They may sing your praises one day and forget about you the next. I believe we have been through this before.
Surely there's someone out there who gets it.
That is wishful thinking, my lord. You could work yourself to your very bones, and the people would merely see you as fulfilling your duty. You must not seek their approval. More will be expected of you, and more will you be the subject of undeserved resentment, for the simple reason that you exist in a position of power. Only those in a similar position can understand your hardships. Ultimately, then, you have two choices. Either dedicate yourself in service of your people, or mercilessly exploit them like your predecessor.
I won't follow in that bastard's footsteps.
I pray your heart remains true, that you remain a wise and caring lord.
Damn it. So what specifically aren't people happy about?
The foremost is food shortages. This was anticipated, and all we can do is ask them to persevere. The second comes from the upper class.
Go on.
They are quite naturally displeased about being made to surrender their stockpiles. It would be prudent to offer them remuneration in the near future.
They're doing well enough for themselves already.
My lord.
I know, just letting off some steam. So I get to go butter up all the rich men in town. Wonderful. The whole idea was to help the less well-off, yet here I am.
I understand that you are not pleased about this, my lord, but do remember you have more to fear from a few of the upper class banding together than the entirety of the slums. For they wield a most troublesome weapon, an upper-class upbringing. They know precisely who to tell and what to tell about you to tarnish your reputation in the blink of an eye. And do not placate yourself by thinking the common man will see through the attempts to undermine you. Even if they did, an unlikely supposition, they could do nothing to counter it. They are powerless.
But it was the people at the bottom who pulled most of the weight organizing and executing the revolution.
It was an exceptional set of circumstances that allowed the revolution to take place as it did, not the least of which was the Lord's status as unequivocally evil in the eyes of the people. You will not find them all agreeing on anything so readily now.
All right, I get it. The point is, I gotta win over all the rich people or my whole operation's gonna come to a grinding halt, right? So as much as it rubs me the wrong way, I'll do what I have to do.
A wise decision, my lord.
Is that the last of the complaints?
No. The influx of immigrants has caused an increase in general unrest.
Of course it has. I bring them in to help with the restoration effort and they go and cause their own new set of problems. It's like I'm chasing my own tail here.
So long as there are people under your authority, never will you be completely free of strife.
You're telling me. So would increasing the guards' presence in the city help keep the peace?
Most of those with the training necessary are already deployed, meaning you would have to have new guards trained from the ground up. You will have to mobilize them where they are most needed.
In other words,
tighten your grip on the slums.
So now I gotta take away their freedom.
I know you have a personal attachment to that area, my lord, but you must cast that aside.
See, why did you not take people from the slums and make them guards? Give them a paying job, and like the ones like Requiem, for example, let them be fucking guards. And then you solve two problems, really. Because they were basically already doing that before, but for no money within the heckin', the city, the slums.
No longer are you the man you once were. The slums should have never been allowed to fall into such lawlessness in the first place. You will merely be restoring it to its proper state. If you truly wish to bring prosperity to this land, you must eventually scale down and then eliminate the slums. But if I get rid of the slums, I'll be getting rid of their home. My lord. I know, I understand what you're getting at, and I understand that everything you're saying is perfectly logical. Can we hold off on that for a bit? A bunch of guys down there formed this peacekeeper group to, keep the peace. They'd gladly help out if we could talk to them, I'm sure. We can scale up our patrols, but no stepping on their toes. Got it? As you command, my lord. Hard to believe it's been a whole year. Feels like I only just started yesterday, and also I've been doing this for forever. Your nasty little rat haircut. Look at you. Your stupid little hair. Little rat man. Little rat man wants his cheese. You're looking somewhat worse for wear, my lord. Do I? Who am I kidding? You're right. On the other hand, you don't look like you've even lost an hour of sleep this entire year. Goes to show how inexperienced I really am. While it is true that I have been in this position for many years, I also do not bear nearly as much responsibility as you. I merely stand in the background and offer you small pieces of advice. All the while you face the crowds directly, negotiate with counts, make dozens of difficult decisions, whatever. I'm old. If there is one thing I have learned in all my years, it is that I could never begin to imagine the weight a ruler must carry. Never mind one who was never raised to take the throne and thrust themselves into the labyrinth of politics and high society. It would be a greater surprise if the trials had not taken their toll. That reminds me, Barnier was lord for a full decade before we took him out, wasn't he? And as I recall, he wasn't much of a despot early on. Just 1 year has taken this much out of me. How much longer before I'm no longer able to act like a reasonable human being? No, don't think like that, Jacopo. Actually, forget it. What matters is that we seem to be doing a good job minimizing discontent. Indeed, you have successfully made it through the first year. The city is decidedly more presentable than it was when you took the throne. There are precious few who could replicate your accomplishments in such a short time, my lord. You would do well to take pride in your work. Pushing to do everything so quickly has taken its toll. The people are worn thin. Slaves are dying by the droves. I still have a ways to go before there's anything I can be proud of. Slaves are the tools of progress, my lord. Tools do not last forever and must be replaced regularly. And you can't build a house with your bare hands. I get it. You learn quickly. Not even a year ago, I would have been up in arms about the number of slaves dying. But now they're just numbers to me. Apparently my worldview has changed quite a bit. It is about time we started considering our next step. Meaning your efforts thus far have been merely toward repairing the damage caused by your predecessor. You make it sound like all this has just been warm-up. Look at his little face! I don't remember this sprite. This is so good. Look at I love you, you piece of shit. My apologies. I did not mean to discount your great efforts, my lord. I was simply speaking of the grander scheme. Yeah, I got that. You want to settle on a direction for how to grow the city, right? Indeed. The status quo is vastly inadequate for bringing prosperity to this land. And there is no saying when the surrounding territories may cease being so friendly, and set their eyes upon conquering us. But of course, you cannot keep your eyes trained outward in fear of attack and allow the land to devour itself from the inside either. So what you're saying is it's a balancing act.
the sunlight is right in my eyes. Can we maybe not?
Precisely.
So, what kind of advancements do I want to pursue? There is something that's been on my mind. This land is ill-suited to growing crops. When I lived down in the slums, I had no perspective and figured that what we produced here was no different from anywhere else. But now I know better. The grapes used for our wine are miserable compared to what have been served elsewhere, as is nearly everything else we grow. I can only assume the land itself is to blame.
Oh, the wine from the south is indeed exceptional. You quite nearly gave me a heart attack when you leapt from your chair in the middle of a meeting, shouting this is nothing like the wine from home.
Enough, that never happened. It was my first time tasting anything like it, alright? Anyone would have the same reaction.
You have grown much, but nevertheless you are still quite green.
God, I really need to watch myself around this man.
In any case, it would be ideal if we could begin producing higher quality grapes, not necessarily to compete with the South, but enough to be serviceable. Efforts to improve our farmland are underway, although it could take some time before we see the progress. Have you any propositions, my lord?
Actually, I was thinking it might be best to cut back on agriculture.
Do elaborate.
What if we were to build the city up into a trade hub of sorts?
Meaning, you wish to open our gates to our neighbors?
Exactly. One thing the city has going for it is its wealth of artisans. But for years we've only ever exported our goods. I want to bring people here to purchase. We reduce our taxes for merchants and give them special privileges. Set tariffs and border taxes lower than they are in the capital. And business will naturally find its way here. This land may be less than optimal for farming, but it's more than adequate for trade. We're in a convenient location to serve as a hub for the surrounding realms. Rather than close our borders and wall ourselves off entirely, opening up and making ourselves of value to our neighbors is far more likely to dissuade potential invasion. We're all pieces on one another's boards, isn't that right? Who says that can't apply to the entire city? The best way to expand without stepping on anyone's toes is to do so in a way that benefits them as well as us. What do you think?
A rather aggressive strategy you propose, my lord. If I may be so bold, there will be many obstacles to this plan's success. You will need to arrange meetings with the head of each realm you intend to invite, the order and timing of which will be crucial to its success. Furthermore, the influx of outsiders will be a source of much tension among your people.
So you think I'm aiming too high?
You are indeed aiming exceedingly high. Your obstacles will be numerous and precipitous. Nonetheless, obstacles can be overcome. Your exhaustion is nothing compared to the weariness that awaits you down this path. Do be well aware of this, my lord.
You're damn right I am. If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go all in. The Lord's Manor sat atop a tall hill. Gazing out, the city stretched out before me. Countless columns of smoke rising from the buildings, the people scurrying about like so many ants. From up here, I had the perfect view of the bustle of the city, but I was too far away to feel the life breathing through it. To think I used to be one of those tiny little specks. Thousands of people lived here, lived there, whatever. They had families, jobs, friends, hobbies. But as much as I was cognizant of that fact, I no longer grasped it on anything more than a conceptual level. It was incredible just how much of my view of the world had changed in merely a year's time. I'm going to go out into the world, I said. I thought that clawing my way to the top of the ladder would let me see it. Would let me experience it. That with power, I could have the whole world at my fingertips. But reality wasn't so simple. This sure isn't what I was looking for. Hell, I feel like the chain's just gotten tighter around my neck. There's no way to truly grasp the view from this height without climbing up and seeing it for yourself. And that was exactly where I was a year ago, blind to the reality of life in the upper echelons, fantasizing about a world that didn't exist. Unlike the me of the past, I did have the satisfaction of feeling like I was accomplishing big things. But was that really worth cutting myself off from all my friends? Did those achievements really justify a bloody revolution? Or, I suppose I should ask, was this work valuable enough to me to justify it all? Reminiscing about days long gone wasn't going to help anything, and in fact, it only served to cause me pain. I couldn't return to that time. This was where my quest for power had brought me, and now I had to live out my days as lord of this land, telling myself day after day that it was far better than being a powerless slum rat. God, I've been so busy these past few weeks. My eyes are... One day, I'll show you the world.
Do you ever get tired of saying that?
You've got to think big. Dream. The world's changing all around us. A life just fighting to make it by day to day is hardly a life at all. I don't want to spend the rest of my days confined to this tiny little corner of the world.
Well, try not to let your dreams grow so big they crush you.
I'm sure I'll be fine. I just have you sing for me if it ever gets to be overwhelming.
Why would I be there?
Why wouldn't you? It's hard to show you the world if I don't bring you with me. Knowing you still won't know where you want to go. So I'll bring you with me. We can find a place for you together. Pretty good deal, huh?
I don't need to see the world. All I want is...
Dozed off for a second there. It feels like those days were an eternity ago. I don't need to see the world. All you want is what? Morgana. What were you trying to tell me? Man, it feels like a whole different place here now. I forget what these guys' voices were like. You think? Looks like the same old nasty dump it's always been.
He's talking about the whole city, adult.
I'm assuming that's a girl. Nicola. Desho? Exactly. Things are on the up and up in the city proper, but we aren't seeing a scrap of it down here. The heck's up with that? All the new shops are spilling out past the city border. The highway into town's turned into a full-blown bazaar. Ooh, sounds nice.
Is there anything in that damn head of yours? We're saying, how come we're still living like rats if they got enough spare coin to build all that market space? Hell, with all these damn immigrants coming in, the slums are even bigger shithole than before.
You know, I never thought much of it until now, but you're right. The gang's been a lot busier lately with all the drifters. And Jacopo, Lord Barnier, ain't showed his mug down here even once since he took over. I mean, I get that the bloody lord can't spend all day hanging out in the slums, but he could at least visit. Instead, he's spending all his time buddying up with the rich folks.
And we used to be such good friends, too.
What if he's planning just not to bother with us at all? I hope not, but that's sure what it's looking like. You'd think he'd at least throw us a bone rather than letting the merchants and upper class take coin baths in his coffers. I guess when he became one of them, he became just like him, too.
Feels like we're in the exact same place we were a year ago.
He's no different than the old Barnier. Psst. Psst. God. Oh, it's you. So you find anything? I got the proof you're looking for. But if you'd be so kind, never give me a job like this again. I'd be hanged thrice over if the noble found out I was sniffing around in the business. Oh, quit being such a bitch. You didn't steal nothing or kill anyone. You're fine. A man's secrets can sometimes be worth more than his life.
but on to business. Your suspicions were correct. Fuck me sideways. Here's your pay. Take it and piss off. Nice doing business. Hey, hold up now. I risked me neck to get that for you, and this is all I get in return. Got a problem with that, you little bitch? No, sir. Don't you worry. You'll get your fair due shortly.
These construction costs are really starting to pile up. Can we put the manor repairs off until we've taken care of more pressing matters? Like using that money to help the poor.
The Lord and his residents are the face of his land. If you wish for the city to continue thriving upon the fruits of your relationships with the surrounding realms, you must maintain a minimum level of respectability, my lord. Merchants in particular are merciless judges of appearance. Of this you can be certain. No respectable merchant will do business on equal terms with the city whose lord refuses to take care of his own home.
I get that, but still, it's so much money.
These are necessary expenses. To acquire the resources required to aid the lower class, we must increase the rate of production. Efforts must begin at the top and gradually work down. You must not be in such a great rush, my lord. The work you are performing is on a much larger, longer scale than perhaps that of which you are accustomed.
You have a point. Then let the construction continue. I'm definitely coming just to see just how crucial a bit of embellishment can be to surviving in high society. Every engagement is like throwing myself into a lion's den. Everyone surrounding me, measuring me up. They question my pedigree, some with their eyes, some with their mouths. Some even attempt to dig up dirt on me in order to tilt the scales in their favor. Oh yeah, and there was that one time when I was straight up shouted at right to my face. You're no more than a damn noble and any of those other rats whose nest you crawled out of, if I recall. Not that he was wrong. I took the throne by force. It's only natural that people are going to have their suspicions. That I came from the slums is just the icing on the cake. I'm damn lucky if condescension is the worst treatment I get on first encounter. And then there are the distant relatives Barnier let slip through the cracks, slithering back up to assert their right to the land. There are a lot more people out to get me than I first anticipated.
Do remain strong, my lord.
I always will be strong. I will, whatever. I will always be strong. I know my lines. If I so much as let these wolves smell weakness, they'll pounce all over me. Like hell I'm gonna let that happen. I won't have time to work on helping the poor if I have to spend my days fending off packs of bloodthirsty nobles. I must always appear strong, under any circumstance. I, of all people, should know just how easily a lord can be dethroned. And I'll be next if I leave even the slightest opening. Ah, yes. I forgot about the head. Sorry for not properly warning. There's a decapitated head in this section. Shown multiple times in various creepy ways. I have to do whatever it takes to make sure that's not my future.
Perhaps you should get some rest, my lord.
Excuse me? Are you insane? I have to review the construction budget so that...
Allow me to handle that. I will get you something to drink. Perhaps a glass of that southern wine you are so fond of. It is quite sweet, perfect for alleviating built-up fatigue.
I am not fatigued.
Come now, please take this request from an overly concerned consul, my lord.
What are you, my mom? Fine, you win. It's hard to believe it's only been a year and a half. I feel like we go way back.
Oh, we do see each other every day, after all.
I'm starting to crave some variety, to be honest. I never found a good opportunity to ask you this, but
Yes.
do you have any family? Because if you do, you're more than welcome to have them live here.
I appreciate your concern, my lord, but they have all passed away.
All of them?
Indeed. My entire family was eradicated at the previous lord's order. Once, and only once, I offered him my humble opinion. So infuriated was he by my insolence that he had my family murdered. I would have much preferred myself killed in their stead. But he was a man who reveled in others' suffering.
And you just kept on serving him?
That is correct. I acted as his loyal servant, too afraid to speak up again.
Acted?
Recall what I said when we first met. I was sitting in wait for the perfect opportunity. Now you understand why.
Wow, damn.
And if I may come clean about that time, I had every intention of disposing of the revolution's puppet master. Never once did I trust Ginevra. Her foolish motives were plain as day. As the new lord's mother, she planned to control her planted usurper from the shadows, acting as the effective governor of the land. Having no family left myself, the city and its people are like my children. So I refused to stand by and allow her to turn them into tools to satisfy her own avarice. The land would hardly survive a tyrant sweeping in to replace a tyrant. But she was removed from the board by the former lord before she had a chance to see her aspirations to fruition. Knowing she was no longer a danger, I decided I would wait and see how the successor fared before taking any further action. To determine if you were sufficient to serve as lord of this land.
And I guess I passed, huh?
Are you not upset, my lord?
Nothing to be upset about. You never hid the fact that you acted in your own interests. That if a piece had no value to you, you discarded it. And I always knew there was more than what you were telling me. I'll just say, I'm relieved to still be standing here.
If only you knew how close you were to falling on the other side of that line.
Am I really that on edge? After all the work I've put into this?
While you do have a rare aptitude and strength of spirit, you are still much too easily swayed by your emotions. Ergo.
Help.
I shall continue to instruct you until you are able to fully satisfy my expectations. 'Tis rather curious. So oft do we speak, so great our time together. I have come to think of you as my second son.
Don't get all mushy on me, old man.
Ergo.
We're not friends. We're not family. I'm a pawn on your board, and you a pawn on mine. Strictly business.
This is the Edward stream convert. Is Odilon just AU old man Edgeworth? Actually, though. Oh, my apologies. I never said a word.
Right. Never happened. Moving right along. You just keep doing what you do best.
At your service, my lord.
Oh, look at this smile. Out of curiosity, do you have any free hands around capable of riding a horse?
For what purpose?
There's someone I want found.
Whoever it may be you wish to find, my lord, I am obliged to remind you that...
You don't even have to finish that. I know. I'm supposed to leave the past in the past.
Let us see then. Your men have their hands rather full at present, though perhaps we can arrange for one of them to be reassigned.
Are you sure? Yes, he is the one who said verily as well.
'Tis a small request, and not once in your entire tenure have you requested to use your men for personal matters. I believe we can spare a hand or two on such rare occasions.
As if Jacopo would ever use verily. I know you you weren't here with the first game, so like you don't know Jacopo as well, but Jacopo would never use the word verily. Not even ironically. Much appreciated.
Shall I arrange for them to set off immediately?
Please. I'm looking for a girl. If she's alive, she'll look around 13 or 14. And she has unusual markings on her face.
Markings akin to burn scars.
Barnier once imprisoned her in this manner. He used her as a prop for his banquets, cutting her up from head to toe. My guess is that the patches on her face are a result of Barnier's abuse.
Indeed, I know the girl. I presumed she had not survived the slave revolt. I take it you care quite deeply about this girl, my lord. Then allow me to offer my sincerest apologies in his stead.
No need to apologize. Will you help me find her, Odilon?
I will oversee the search operation personally to the best of my ability, my lord. I pray the girl is still alive.
As do I, unlikely as it may be. I'm just chasing after a sliver of a dream that shattered long ago. That said, if you do find her alive, bring her here without telling her it's at the Lord's order. She'll likely assume it's the old Barnier who's after her if you say anything. And if she happens to have found a new home where she's happy, just leave her be.
Understood.
Time drifted slowly onward. As I anticipated, there was no news regarding her whereabouts. But new shops and stalls continued opening in the city, with them coming a steady flow of travelers and passing merchants. And as traffic through the city increased, so too did the number of people seeking an audience with me. I was getting busier and busier by the day. My plans to attract merchants and artisans from the capital had worked, and every one of them seemed to have a bigger, more ambitious proposition than the last. My days became a cycle of meetings, reviewing propositions, balancing the budget, and deciding whether to proceed or postpone. And amidst all the tumult, my thoughts drifted ever further from the poorest of my people. And that's the last of the day's meetings. There's no end in sight to this.
That is a good thing, my lord. It means you have succeeded in drawing traffic to the city.
I guess, but I need to go back and review all these proposals, so...
Lord Barnier, a moment!
I don't have a moment to spare.
A townsperson requests an audience with the lord. You have been instructed to deny entry to commoners. I tried, but he refuses to leave the gate.
Hold on, what's this man's name?
Sir, he calls himself Requiem.
Oh shit, is it really him? Let him in, by all means.
My lord, you mustn't give anyone special treatment.
Gratian's not just anyone. We've been to hell and back together. He wouldn't be here if it wasn't important. I should hear what he has to say.
No, my lord, you cannot. Your past is...
He's a good friend. I'm not sending him away. That's not even on the table.
Friend or not, you mustn't give him an audience. You are the lord now, and he is a mere peasant. You cannot be certain he will hold himself with proper decorum.
I don't appreciate what you're implying about my friend, old man. He's no goddamn brute. He is, but... well-meaning.
I imply nothing, my lord.
Keep your counsel topics to... you actually know... Keep your counsel to topics you actually know something about. I'm not going to stand by and listen to anyone insult my friends. Not even you.
My lord, must I remind you yet again to keep your temper in check?
Ah, that's enough out of you. I'm done, not another word on this subject.
My lord.
Hey guard, open up the gate.
Yes, sir. Sup, Jacopo? It's been ages. It feels like forever. How have you been doing? Never been better. How about you, kid? Show proper respect to your lord, peasant. You are to refer to him as Lord Barnier, not any false names he may have responded to while in hiding. Seriously? You ain't even gonna let him kick back for a buddy? Enough, Odolan. He can call me by my old name. But my lord, I've said I've heard enough from you. Well, look at you taking charge and barking orders all important like. You're like a whole new man, my lord. Please, you can use my name. I'm dead serious, though. Hard to believe it ain't even been 2 years. You seriously look like a whole new man. You think so? I don't feel like I've changed all that much myself. I don't know, you just, what's the word? Emanate lordliness now. Guess it don't take long in the noble's den to turn one into one of them, no matter how far down the chain you come from. And look at this room. Look at all these fancy fucking furnishings. None of this is old Barnier's stuff, is it? Nope. With all the meetings I've been having, I needed to make sure I had a room that was nice and presentable. Well, that's one way to put it. Hey, don't think I'm just throwing around money for the fun of it. If I want any pull in a negotiation, I have to look like I had... No need to explain yourself, kid. I totally get it. It ain't easy dealing with a bunch of rich folks with sticks up their asses. I appreciate it. Anyway, what brings you here today? Whoa, bud, do I need a reason to visit a friend? Can a guy just want to hang out and catch up? Come on. I never said that. I'm just extremely busy at the moment. I don't have much time to spare for anyone. Come on, don't be such a tight ass. That's exactly why I'm here. To make sure you don't got that stick up there so deep it punctures your brain. You gotta let loose sometimes. Did it have to be that wording? I suppose. Thank you for your concern. So let's get sloshed, just like the old days. I even brought the booze. I wish I could, but I don't have the time. You'll drink with merchants and rich snobs, but not me? That stings, kid. Right to the gut. I see you're as pushy as ever. Alright, fine. One drink. In the back room. That's what I'm talking about. My lord. It'll be fine, Odolan. We go back years. There's nothing wrong with a couple friends sharing drinks after hours. If you insist, my lord. But the peasant must leave his blade behind. I will not under any circumstances allow you to be alone with an armed slum dweller. Yeesh, everyone here needs to loosen up, huh? You seriously think I'm gonna pull a sword on an old pal? Humor me. Whatever, fine, you win, old-timer. Happy now? Yes. Sorry about that, Gratien. Odolan's always on edge. It's nothing personal. Nah, it's cool. Can't say I blame him. Now let's go get trashed. I brought a little something from that pub we used to haunt. Bet you usually drink way better shit than this now that you're freaking lord. But it'll be like the old times, you know? This reminds me of the time we had that drinking contest. Want to go another round? I'll have to refrain. Odolan would murder me if I did that. Sounds like the geezers got you by the balls, huh? No fun allowed up here in the Lord's house. It can be rather suffocating, yeah. Well, you can at least let loose today. To old times, kid. To old times. Now this is a sight I never dreamed of. The two of us here in the Lord's Manor, drinking together. We were both slaves when we met, for God's sake.
No fucking joke. You never know what life will bring to you. Been almost 5 years since then. You weren't even 20 yet. I expect we've both grown quite a bit since those days. Or are you still running around like a wild boar even now? Hard to say. I don't think I'm as bad as I used to be, but getting into shit kinda comes with the territory, you know? In the slums, it's still the same as ever. I see. So how's everyone doing down there? We're scraping by, as usual. The rest of the gang? And Maria? The guys are still lazing around at the pub all day. Maria's rebuilt the brothel, and she's getting by as best she can. Obviously not in the same place, and it's smaller than the old one. But for a chick, she's doing alright for herself. I'm glad to hear it. So tell me, kid, you and her totally had a thing, yeah? Where on earth did that come from? I believe I've already told you, no, we didn't. It just seems like she's about 10 times more worried about you than anyone else. There must have been something. Don't make sense otherwise. Maybe she just had a thing for you and you never saw it. Poor girl. There were no romantic feelings on either side. We were friends. Simple as that. Nothing more, nothing less. Have you seen those honkers? Gratian, please. What does that have to do with anything? Just don't make sense to me. How can a guy only be friends with a chick? It just means we value certain things in life differently. You know, you like to do that sometimes. Get all weirdly noble like that. Hey, I didn't mean that as a jab. It has nothing to do with being noble. Maria's special. We've known each other most of our lives. We survived hell together. Oh yeah, you mentioned that before, didn't you? That you two have known each other longer than anyone else? What was it like back then for the two of you? Before I met her, Maria was raised in an orphanage. She said she ran off because she and the director didn't get along. Huh, can't say I'm surprised. How about you? I hardly remember anything from before I came to this city. Just bits and pieces of what my mother told me. Being guarded by a bunch of men, being kidnapped by bandits. I mean, that noblewoman? Real shame you had to lose her so soon after reuniting, huh? Indeed it is. Don't you think it's about time you cut the shit? Excuse me? You're not a Barnier. You didn't inherit the throne. You're just a damn fraud. Ain't that right, Jacopo? What are you talking... Finally starting to kick in, it looks like. God, you got any idea how hard it was not to throttle you through that entire conversation? Almost out of nowhere, my heart rate skyrocketed and my legs started trembling so violently I had to lean against the wall to support myself. The whole world started swirling, and I could just barely make out my old friend glaring at me through the fog. How you like that? Feels like your heart's about to burst, don't it? Don't you worry, kid. You won't be feeling nothing soon. You poisoned the drinks? Why would you... Why? You seriously need me to spell it out for you? Ha! You've been stuffing your head with fucking rainbows up here? You want to know what they call you down in the slums? Jacopo the Betrayer. I did not betray... You take one goddamn look at the city and tell me that again. While you're up here treating anyone with a card and some trinkets to sell like fucking royalty, the slums is still the same rat's nest as you left it. No, we're even worse off now. With your new marketplace, anyone can turn a little bit of money into a big old pile of gold. But if you got nothing to begin with, you're just dead in the streets. All you're doing is making the rich even richer. No, I'm trying. I wanted to explain how I had everything planned out. How I first needed to improve the economy as a whole before I could turn my attention to the less well-off. That nothing changing was proof I was protecting them. That the slums had been in danger of being eradicated entirely, and that I had stopped it. Yeah, it's a bummer. But I could see in his eyes that nothing I said would convince him. As far as he was concerned, I was pure evil.
You're not the man you used to be.
Gratien, why? I thought you believed in me.
You're damn right I did. And then you went and fed us a bunch of lies. You called yourself the rightful heir. You called yourself a Barnier. But I did my digging. You don't got a lick of royal blood in you. All you ever wanted was to line your pockets, you selfish bastard.
No,
You never had any intention of helping us.
Please, hear me out, Gratien.
We were all just pawns to you. The whole damn revolution was part of your game.
I'm begging you.
How's it feel, knowing your throne sits on the backs of all those people you betrayed?
Please.
You don't have any right to call yourself the goddamn lord.
Gratien!
Hell, you barely have any right to call yourself a fucking man. You're just a rat in fancy clothes. It should have been me. I would have made an infinitely better lord than you ever were. If only I'd had that ring, then it could have been me. So that's what this is all about. In a flash, everything I once felt for this man, all the friendship, the camaraderie, the sympathy, went cold. As much as he tried to dress up this whole farce, that was where his heart truly was. He was just sour about not being the one who got to be Lord. He believed himself superior. He got himself caught up in this stupid fit of jealousy. And now he's trying to kill me over it. But seriously, all this is... Are you listening to a word you're saying? What was that? You're the one who's not the man he used to be. And you're the one who's being a self-centered bastard. Talk all you want, dead man. The Gratien I knew would never resort to using poison. He'd have drawn his sword the second he passed through those gates, faced me like a man. But look at you. Even Barnier had more of a spine than you. You dare compare me to that sack of shit? Alright, fine, I'll play it your way. He had a knife hidden on him. An instant later, Gratien was brandishing a short blade. He had snuck it in under his clothes, I presume. I was almost amazed at how thoroughly prepared he was. He never had any intention of this going any other way. He hadn't come to talk. He was never going to hear me out. He was here to do one thing, and one thing only. And I doubted he had any plans for what would come next. Raw hatred was all that fueled him. He wouldn't take my place after killing me. He wouldn't work himself to the bone to ensure the city kept running. He didn't give a single damn about any of that. You're scum. I won't be taken down by some worthless, self-absorbed rat. Nothing I had ever tried had been enough to best Gratien in combat. And that was when I was at my peak, not with the myriad of needles of his poison prickling my every pore, barely able to stand under my own weight. But still, I had no intention of surrendering my life to this cur. I took in a deep breath, clenched my teeth, shouted at my shaking limbs. Move. 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 Move, damn you! My fingers, I could feel them again. Before the thought finished passing through my mind, my hand reached for a blade. Grasping the rapier hanging from a wall, I swiftly drew it from its scabbard. It was a decorative blade, not meant for combat. It would probably bounce right off Gratien's muscular chest. But there was only one place I could target. Rot in hell, you son of a bitch! Knife in hand, he lunged at me. Just moments before death befell me. My vision, blurred by the poison, grew unbelievably clear. Gratien almost appeared to be moving in slow motion. I wasn't sure my mind had ever been so clear, so sharp in battle before. The dying embers of my fated life, burning anew into a blazing inferno. Unlike my fight with Barnier, this one was over in an instant. Before I had time to breathe or even blink, it was settled. And in that same instant, everything I had built up with this man turned to dust.
I had never once defeated him. For as long as I had known him, I was always, always, always number 2. And now, for the very first time, I won. What did it have to be you there, and not me? The blade of the rapier in my hand skewered Gratien's throat. His mouth flapped open and shut like a fish. He glared at me, face twisted in a mixture of hatred and agony, sputtering fragments of contempt, until the life drained from his eyes. My first victory against my old friend also took his life. And it all happened in the blink of an eye, hardly enough time to even register in my mind.
My lord, what was all that commotion? What happened? My lord, please stay with me. Were you poisoned? Someone, is anyone there?
Yes, sir.
A doctor, as quickly as you can.
Aye.
My lord, please, my lord, a doctor will be here shortly. Please, stay with me just a little longer. My lord.
Odilon. You were right. I was stupid. I should have listened. I thought he was my friend, but he wasn't. Not anymore. And because we had once been friends, that made him my greatest threat. Breathe. My blood feels like it's made of magma. My throat burns. My skin, it's like it's being eaten away. Who's there? Who's there? Why are you laughing? Answer me. No thanks. I don't like it.
How does it feel, boy? To know it all went exactly as I said it would.
What? How? But you're...
That you wouldn't be able to trust anyone.
You're dead.
The worst is yet to come, boy.
Silence!
You could work yourself to the marrow of your bones, and still the people will never look beyond the surface.
I said enough.
Listen. You can hear the scorn in their voices. They're calling you a tyrant, a soulless monster. I know you can hear them.
They are not.
They say you're no better than me. That you're a foolish ruler who cares not for his people. They shout an endless cacophony of discontent.
Shut up. Just shut up. I am nothing like you.
Can you, then, remain a virtuous leader, no matter how bitterly your people despise you? Is your love for them truly so resolute? No. The virtue you brandish was never so selfless. Sorry. Tell me I'm wrong, slumrat. It is not benevolence that drove you to take the throne, but a thirst for power, for prestige.
Not another word.
Do you know what truly brought you here? You were tired of people looking down on you. You thought you would be treated with respect if you had real power. You wanted it more than anything in the world.
Enough already!
You dedicating your life in the service of others. It was never going to last. Allow me to make a prediction. Soon, very soon, you'll find yourself drifting over to my side. You'll stop caring about the people's lives, and for that, they will despise you. You'll lose any last bit of sense left in you. Push everyone away until you're all alone, and then you'll succumb completely to madness's grip. Stop talking. You don't have what it takes to be the lord of the land. I said stop talking! The people aren't the only ones who aren't on your side. You have enemies everywhere you look. The nobles don't accept you as one of them. They'll try to drag you off your throne by any means. Your aides and servants will turn on you. And this won't be the last time you writhe in the claws of poison. And again, and again, and again, and again, never will you stop being the target of others' loathing. Or will you continue to act like some kind of paragon of virtue, never wavering in your faith in others? How long will your benevolence last, in the face of a dozen attempts on your life? Shut your goddamn mouth. It won't be easy, boy. Because you came from the slums, you'll face even more, even greater threats than I. Silence! I bet that just terrifies you. Drains all the hope from your heart. Well, there's an easy solution. Follow in my footsteps and reign with terror. Stop talking. I've heard enough of your goddamn noise. You're already afflicted with a great curse, my boy. A curse known as the Lord of the Land. It's a curse from which you will never be free. And hence, you will never be free from me. However much you may come to regret taking that throne, you can't give it back now. It's not something you can simply hand off to someone else, nor a duty from which you can simply relieve yourself. That anguish and agony and misery it brings you every day will follow you all the way to your grave. Just stop, damn it! Keep your babbling to yourself. Go on, try and make me. Cover my mouth, why don't you? You can't do it, can you? You're too weak to defeat even a mere spirit. Shut the hell up! I know precisely what your future holds, boy. You'll sit upon the throne alone. Not a single person at your side. And not even death shall free you from your eternal solitude. For it is naught but an empty shell with which you decorate your throne. Stop talking! Do you hear that, slum rat? Someone's come for you. The question is, do they act out of genuine concern? Can you be sure the water they give you is safe to drink? Perhaps they mean to finish you off. If a simple grunt like him could get his hands on poison, how easy do you think it would be for the Lord's consul to procure a substance hundreds of times more potent? Hell, he wouldn't even have to go through the trouble. You're no more a threat than an insect with its wings torn off. A feeble woman or crippled slave could plunge a knife into a trembling spine with little effort. Behold, the former mastermind of the revolution. All this suffering you brought it on yourself by trying to defy your fate.
The nightmares continued. Again and again and again they haunted me. Every time I drifted off to sleep, there floated Barnier's severed head, cursing me, mocking me, laughing at me from every direction. And as he said I would, I soon began to hear the people as well, endlessly condemning me, deriding me, berating me. I tried to convince myself it was all in my head, but Gratien's words told me otherwise. All my old companions called me Jacopo the Betrayer, he had said. I wasn't sure how much time had passed. Was it day? Was it night? Was I sane enough to tell the difference? Was I even still alive? I had no idea. It was always the same refrain every time he appeared. You can't trust anyone. Your friends will all eventually betray you. Your people have no faith in you. Everyone despises you. I couldn't even tell anymore. Were those Barnier's words? Or were they coming from the depths of my own mind? All I knew for certain was that there was no escaping them. And that they were slowly eating away at my spirit. My breathing was labored. My entire body felt like it was on a spit being roasted in the eternal flames of hell. And at other times, I couldn't stop shivering. I felt like I had been tossed into a frozen river. Doctors, guards, Odilon, I couldn't tell who was who, but there always seemed to be someone standing at my side. The faceless shadows were anything but comforting, though, for Barnier's ghost was constantly reminding me of the threat they posed. I quite certainly wailed like a terrified child. Everyone seemed like a danger. If Gratien couldn't be trusted, who was to say the doctors weren't sneaking poison into my medicine? Who was to say Odilon didn't plan to silently remove me? I didn't know who I could trust. Or maybe Barnier was right. I couldn't trust anyone. Still he cackled. Still he cursed, right by my ear. There isn't a soul left in this world who won't betray you, he whispered, laughing away. Okay, I think that's enough suffering for today. What say y'all? Feels bad. Hate it. Feels real bad. Yeah, it's an unfortunate time. Like I said at the beginning, this part 2 is like peak just suffering. Like there's not gonna be anything fun. Yeah, it much darker. Nothing fun is happening for the next 2 streams. Nothing fun. In 2 weeks, we're gonna like take a break in the middle, which I never do. We're gonna take a break because I know it's gonna break me if I don't. Yeah, please do. This is such the main story is so good. Admittedly, the beginning streams are a little rough because I was getting used to streaming and then didn't have no, we don't. Oops, we don't want that. Yeah. But yeah, it's a great story. But that's it for today. Okay, Satan, that's enough for today. Next stream is on Sunday evening with Grandia 2. We're gonna get to something really good on Grandia 2 on Sunday. I'm very, very excited. And then next week we'll be back with this. More suffering. Oh boy. Please be good to yourself. Go take care of yourself. Eat dinner if you need to. I need to eat dinner. But take care. And I will see you all on Sunday or next week if you choose to come back to this shit show. And then I'll see you on Friday. Oh my god, on Friday! I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, this week is going by really fast. Yay, I'll see you Friday. So yeah, on that note, have a good rest of your day. Take care. Bye.